With so many KVKs in Rise of Kingdoms, it can be impossible to figure out which KVK type is which, what are the benefits of all of them, and which is going to be best for both your kingdom and you as a player. But today, we're going to break down all the different KVKs, the pros and the cons, and which is going to be best for you. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Shappy. I'm a sponsored Rise of Kingdoms content creator, and today we are talking about potentially the most important thing in all of Rise of Kingdoms, and that is KVK. Now, if you're old and you're a veteran like me, welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. But you are familiar with these two. You know, Heroic Anthem, Storm of Stratagems, they're a little bit older. I'm sure you also are aware of Strife of the Eight. Now, Heroic Anthem is the OG KVK, right? You've got your Bastions and not much else, right? But Lilith has been hard at work adding a ton of other KVKs. And so you might be wondering which KVK is the best for me and for my kingdom. And it's kind of a hard call. So let's go through. I have to give a huge shout out to Ruz and King's Codex for this spectacular spreadsheet that we're going to be looking at here, because I think it provides a lot of insight into how all this works. So without further ado, here is the spectacular spreadsheet. It has all of the different KVKs. So you can go there and we can talk through all of them. Now, at the end of the day, KVK is KVK, right? It's 50 days of fighting. You're going to be going into KVK. There are typically around 3 stages of fighting. You've got Zone 5, you've got Zone 6, you've got Kingsland. And Zone 6 is usually mostly pass fighting. But some KVKs are better than others. Let's just be honest, guys. Like, there are some KVKs that suck. For example, I'm going to say it, and some people are going to rip me in the comments, and that's okay. I really don't like Strife of the Eight. I don't think it's fun. I don't think it's very good. I prefer almost any of the other KVKs. Just my take, but that's okay. You guys let me know in the comment section, which do you prefer the most? I've played Heroic Anthem probably 5 times at least, and it's fine, right? Heroic Anthem is your normal KVK. You have a season length of 50 days. There are 4 camps. You can't choose teams. There is an altar. Altar's awesome. I love KVKs with an altar, and there are a couple reasons why. A, it's especially free-to-play friendly, because most free-to-play are going to have fewer marches that are stronger. And I like altar because it gives you more fighting in between the zones, so it's not all zone fighting. So you have more time to fight, thus have more time to get kills, thus can hit your minimums without getting kicked out of your kingdom. All really nice things. It also has the Bastion support skills here. Those are really cool. Love those. I think they're a little stale, given all the other mechanics that we have in the game. If you haven't played Heroic Anthem, play it once, but once you played it once, I think you've got it. For rewards, Heroic Anthem's pretty good, right? You've got 210 Otarks and then 60 as the secondary award, so not bad. But there are a lot of others that are just as good. And there are a lot of other mechanics that make KVK really fun. The support skills were an early game introduction. Strife of the Eight has none of that. It is your bare bones. We have 8 kingdoms and 8 camps, and we're going to go head to head in a battle, and that's how it's going to shake out. There's no altar. There's no choosing teams. I mean, obviously you're going to have teams, but there's no choosing teams. And the Otark rewards are nice, but beyond that, there's not that much. There's no support skills, no healing potions, nothing. So Strife of the Eight, sorry guys, it's out for me. Then you start getting into some of the more interesting KVKs. King of the Nile was probably the first time Lilith said, okay, we're going to try something really new. And it kind of fell flat. Not a lot of people liked King of the Nile. I think the main reason for it was just the overall lack of fighting. So if we look at King of the Nile, there's only really 2 camps here. which means that you're probably going to get an OTARC. In theory, it means you're almost guaranteed a 50-50 shot. However, the problem is the winner only gets 210 for the main coalition. And the problem is when you have that many kingdoms in one KVK, it's not ideal. You get some infighting. It gets messy. Now, this system does have seasonal strategies, which is cool. And it also does have that one march altar, which we love. But this one, probably not going to be the best. The seasonal strategies mechanic is at least a little bit complicated. If we come down here, I can actually read through to you guys how it works. The seasonal strategies, governors will be able to make choices along 3 strategy trees to decide the best path for their development, and et cetera, et cetera. So overall, it's fine. I mean, to be honest, it's not what I would pick. You can choose basic, intermediate, advanced, or ultimate, and only one strategy can be adopted from each level of the strategy tree. Throughout the season, you gain strategy points, and you can use those. Realistically, I don't think this is the best one. I think it's a fun one if you're looking for a slower, maybe a recovery KVK. This is the one you choose, King of the Nile. It's a great one for recovery. You have a pretty good chance of getting an OTARC. That's what I would do. If you're looking for a recovery KVK, this is probably a pretty good one. Now, this next one is Warriors Unbound. Now, Warriors Unbound is a interesting KVK. Lila said we wanted to change how building and combat works, and this was their first real stab at trying to do that. You do have 6 camps here, which is kind of the standard going forward, which means it's a little bit more competitive. It's going to be harder to win. It's going to be harder to get those OTARCs, but they do have 90 as the secondary option there, so it's not bad. You can't choose teams and there's no altar, which kills me, because in this KVK, they make it so you can only build directly next to structures. And the problem with that is that if you can only build directly next to structures, I have it up in game right now, then what that means is there's not going to be a lot of fighting when it comes to, hey, we're defending flags, like that zone 5 fighting that people absolutely love. You can't do that quite as easily, and it makes things a lot harder when we start talking about how builders should work. Alliance forts can only be built in areas bordering a holy site or pass. Not great. It is what it is, though. So that's the main mechanic here when we talk about Warriors Unbound. Coalition systems, all the same. There's reward sharing, there's boosts. The reward system is what the reward system is. You can still get a star. And again, there are 6 camps here. Personally, I probably wouldn't do Warriors Unbound. I think given all of the other KVKs that are available, this is not the one to go for. Where Warriors Unbound does do well is you have artifacts. Artifacts are easily one of my favorite mechanics in Rise of Kingdoms, so that's the benefit. But many of the other KVKs also have artifacts, which for me says, sorry, Warriors Unbound, you're out. So what's left, right? We have Tides of War, Storm of Stratagems, Siege of Orleans, Alliance Invictus, King of Britain, and Keener Blades. Now, Keener Blades is a brand new KVK type. I would love to try out this KVK type because this is the one with T6. Realistically, from everything I've heard, it's not the best right now, right? Let's give it a few months. Let's let them make the patches they want to make to it, and then we'll revisit it. I think it has a lot of potential because it leverages that whole tech concept that we spoke about in the past when we look at light versus dark, and it has the fights afforded by a lot of the other KVKs, right? I think in this KVK type, and just confirming, you do have the 1 march altar. So you do have the 1 march altar, so you have altar fighting. You do have a permanently safe Z4, which is huge. A lot of people are like, Shappy, permanently safe Z4, why does that matter? Well, ideally, when you're done with KVK, you want to be able to recover, right? You want to be able to go to your Z4. You want to be able to gather. You want to be able to hit barbarians safely. Not having a safe Z4 is a big problem. That's another reason why some of these KVK types are out, right? Strife of the 8, no safe Z4. Heroic Anthem, no safe Z4. It's not as fun. You get kicked out earlier. You can't get those rewards. So for that reason, Keener Blades is okay. Otark distribution's good. Coalition tech I like. It's just the whole troop type specials and the different things like that make me a little nervous. So that leaves us with Tides of War, Storm of Stratagem, Siege of Orleans, Alliance Invictus, and King of All Britain. Well, I have a video on Storm of Stratagems on the top right. You can go check that out. Storm of Stratagems, I think, is one of the best KVK types in Rise of Kingdoms, full stop. And the reason for that is you have an altar, you have the ability to choose teams, you have fairly good Otark distribution because you've got 210 and then 90, and you have stratagems and artifacts. You have two mechanics that evolve as KVK goes along that make things interesting. I really like Storm of Stratagems. It is, for me, probably one of the top 3 KVK types, but is it the best? I still would say probably not. And I know I'm being maybe a little harsh. I still would say probably not. I enjoyed it. I think if you're looking to play a fun KVK type, this is one that I would play over and over again. But is it the best? I don't think so. Another one that's really fun, I was just in Siege of Orleans. Siege of Orleans is a great KVK. You get auxiliary skills. Auxiliary skills are one of the coolest mechanics in the game because they allow you to diversify your gameplay, right? You can have 3 different skills from 3 other commanders that you've invested in on a troop. The problem is if you haven't invested in those commanders, you can't really use their skills, which is a somewhat large problem when we do look at the free-to-play. And again, this is a 6-camp KVK, which is another small problem there. And there's no altar. And the bigger problem with Siege of Orleans, in my opinion, is there wasn't really any kind of Zone 6 invasion when we did sides that were teams. And the reason for this is also that there's the Zone 7 that opens up right after Kingsland probably should have opened before Kingsland, which is what happens in a lot of these others, such that you can actually try and cut your enemies off from getting the Kingsland before the Kingsland battle, which I've always really appreciated. So Siege of Orleans, I'm sorry, it's out for me. It's out for me. I think it's probably not even top 3. So what does that leave us with? Well, we have Alliance Invictus, which is an interesting one. Alliance Invictus is a 6-camp KVK. It has good distribution of rewards, and it's not really all that talked about. So why is that? Well, Alliance Invictus has support skills, much like Bastions, and it has all of the things that we've been talking about with the different distributions of Otarks. You've got the 90 there, and you have an altar. So, and you have a safe zone. So you have altar and you have safe zone. So what makes this KVK special, right? What's the big difference here for Alliance Invictus? Alliance Invictus has a couple of really interesting mechanics here. Mainly, you have something called curios. What are curios? Curios, you can see right here. If a troop's secondary commando equips a curio, all units in their troop will be converted into a certain unit type depending upon the curio. Curios will not affect units garrisoned in your city. You will be able to redeem a curio after a certain Lost Kingdom chapter has been completed. So it's kind of like artifacts. Each troop can equip up to 2 support skills. The level of a support skill will be based on the level of that skill in your own commander roster. If you do not own a commander, you cannot use their skills as support skills. So this is kind of like your Bastion support skill. The main difference here is going to be the Alliance Flag Shields and the Alliance Outposts. All of these are pretty cool. I would love to play Alliance Invictus. I think it's got some cool mechanics, and it really does not give enough credit. I haven't played it just yet, but I do like the notion of curios. It flips artifacts on their heads, which I think is exciting. It's a new mechanic, and it could be a lot of fun. But again, the problem and the reason why this is probably not best for everyone is it's a 6-camp KVK. So Alliance Invictus, probably great for most players. But is it the best for you? Well, The KVK that I believe is the best for everyone is probably going to be Tides of War. Tides of War is a spectacular KVK. I've played it a bunch, and it is so much fun. And the reason for this is as you move through Tides of War, you get different benefits. You get effects that are somewhat similar to stratagems. You get artifacts if you want to use an artifact. You get bonuses every single tide that allow you to claim a ton of resources. I think it's 25 million gold, which is huge. And you get that all throughout the KVK. You also get buffs that reduce your mine cost. You get buffs that reduce your healing costs. You get buffs that improve your ability to do well in combat. And you get an altar. So Tides of War is amazing. It also only has 4 camps, which means that your odds of winning are statistically pretty high. So Tides of War, that's the best KVK for most players, in my opinion, especially if you are a low spender B, D, C seed kingdom. That's a spectacular one for you. Some of these others are way more whale friendly, right? Alliance Invictus, probably a really good one if you have some whales. Warriors Unbound, maybe. But Storm of Stratagems, Alliance Invictus, Tides of War, all really great KVKs for most kingdoms. Tides of War is my favorite. The one that I think is interesting is King of All Britain, because King of All Britain is also a 4-camp KVK. And it also has a pretty good reward distribution. Not as good as some of the others, I'll give it to you, right? 210 and then 60. It could be better. I wish it were 90. But it also has some cool mechanics, right? You have starting province selection based upon pre-KVK standings. Pre-KVK doesn't matter in any instance except for this. And this is actually really nice when we start talking about how you're going to build teams in a KVK. Then you have Home Gang, which is a special mechanic where you can team up with different people and battle for different stats. I like that. From what I've heard, it's a little whale friendly, which maybe is something to keep in mind, but it's a new mechanic. It's interesting. You also get stratagems in King of All Britain. So Storm of Stratagems, I said, was spectacular. So if you can get Storm of Stratagems in King of All Britain, why wouldn't you just do King of All Britain with fewer camps? I would put King of All Britain probably as my second favorite just based on the mechanics alone. And this is one of the ones that's going on right now. The 2377 and 1079 is King of All Britain. You also have Burr rating, and the most interesting thing to me is the Prime Ragnar Lodbrok artifact. Because you have stratagems, which can give you an artifact that you can use with other commanders, as well as a bunch of other mechanics, which are spectacular. But if you maxed Ragnar Prime, which most people did, you can use him with any other commander, which means you can have a flex commander of Philip, you can have a flex commander of Ragnar, and you can have a flex commander of anyone else using an artifact from a stratagem. Which means this is probably the most diversified of all the different KVK types, and you have a 1 in 4 chance of winning. So that's what I think. If this video has been helpful for you, be sure to drop a like on it. This spreadsheet above me will be linked in the description, so you can go check it out. If you've enjoyed the video, thank you very much. Hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right-hand corner, and hit that bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. Thank you all. A special shout out to King's Codex. Chappy out.